Recording has started, Chair.
Thank you, Becky. Welcome to the Environment and Sustainability Scrutiny Committee, being held via the Microsoft Teams today, Tuesday the 7th of December 2021 at 5:30 to consider the matters contained in the following agenda. This meeting will be recorded and made available via the Council website, except for discussions involving confidential or exempt items. Therefore, the image, audio of those individual speakers will publicly be available via the recording on the Council website at www.caerphilly.gov.uk. Can we have a roll call, please, Kath?
Yes, Chair. Members of the Scrutiny Committee in the first, when I call your name, could you just confirm you're in attendance, please? Councillor Adams?
Present.
Councillor Collis?
Present.
Councillor Davis?
Present.
Councillor Ellsbury?
Yes, I'm here.
We've had apologies from Councillor Evans and Councillor Gare. Councillor Hussey?
Present.
Councillor Kent?
Yeah, I'm here.
I can't see Councillor Leonard on the call. Councillor Owen?
Present, Kath.
We've had apologies from Councillor Priest. Councillor John Roberts?
I'm Kath. Diolch.
I can't see Councillor Scriven. We've had apologies from Councillor Simmons. I can't see Councillor Stone, and we've had apologies from Councillor Tom Williams. The Cabinet members, Councillor Jamie Pritchard.
Present, Kath.
And Councillor Whitcomb.
Present.
Thank you, members.
So can you just give us a recall on the number of who apologise?
Yeah, apologies from Councillor Evans, Councillor Anne Gow, Councillor Denver Priest, Councillor Julian Simmons and Councillor Tom Williams, and also Councillor Nigel George, Cabinet members, giving apologies.
Right, thank you. Right, declaration of interest. Council and officers a reminder of their personal responsibility to declare any personal and or prejudicial interests in respect of any item of business on this agenda in accordance with Local Government Act 2000, the Council Constitution and the Code of Conduct for both councillors and officers. Any declarations of interest? None? Can I, as the chairman, just record my thanks for the two members, my vice chair and Mike Adams, for chairing the last two meetings, September and October. Greatly appreciated. Thank you. Right, we go to item 3, approve and sign the following minutes. The Environment and Sustainability Scrutiny Committee meeting held on the 26th of October 2021. For accuracy, page 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Someone move it to record otherwise?
Move, Chair. Councillor Adams.
Is that seconded?
Yeah, I'll second.
I'll second, Chair. Yeah.
Right, we'll go to a vote on that now then. I'd abstain because I left the meeting, so.
That's carried, Chair.
Thank you very much. Right, to item 4, there's no calling on that, Kath.
That's correct, Chair. Nothing.
Item 5, Environment Sustainability Scrutiny Committee Forward Work Programme, pages 9 to 20. Kath.
Thank you, Chair. I'd just like to highlight to members Appendix 1 attached to the report. As members can see, the next meeting of the Scrutiny Committee will be held on the 8th of February 2022. We've got 3 items planned for that meeting. The Budget Monitoring Report and the Pedestrian and Cycle Zone School Street Scrutiny Report, which is a member request, the Economy and Environment Director Performance Report. After that, then the next meeting will be held on the 22nd of March. And we haven't any items for the agenda as such for that yet. It's just an information item. I'm not aware of any additional items that have been requested, so if members are happy to move that, we can add that to the website.
Adrian,
Thank you, Chair. If you could, Kath, I'd like to put forward the permit parking. It was on the task and finish for car parking, but it was deemed such a large report that could we add that added onto the forward working programme, please?
Yes, Chair, certainly I'll add that
members
on.
agree? Members agree?
Yeah.
Come on, don't be shy.
Yes. Yes. Agree.
No one against, obviously. All right, thank you. We go to item 6. We've had no calling on those cabinet reports. Am I right?
Moved and seconded, please, on the work programme. Sorry, and a vote.
Pardon?
I'll move.
Moved and second on the report, please, for the work programme.
I got my hand up as well on that as well, sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Oh. Yeah, sorry.
It's only the fact, I said I had an email of Marcus saying that the report on the pedestrianisation outside the 3 schools has been put back to February, right? This has gone from an annual report that we were promised at the start of the scheme now to it's going to be pretty much nearly a year and a half, and it's only an 18-month scheme.
Sorry, where are we to now then?
That was on the forward work programme for February meeting.
Sorry, unless you give notice, I can't, it's been moved and seconded now. All right, it's Christmas is coming, I'll give you the chance.
It's all right. Go on, it's all right. I'll lower the hand.
No, go on.
No, it's on the forward. I couldn't get the microphone to work. I was on the forward work programme when I requested the report on pedestrianisation outside schools and the impact. And we were supposed to have a report after a year. Then it was agreed that we would have it in December. And I had an email off Marcus last week, I think, saying I was going to be in February. It was only an 18-month experimental order, and we're going to be not far off the 18 months before we have a review. That's a long, long time, that is.
Mark, you want to make any comment?
No, I think the order can be extended, Councillor Kent. So, we will definitely bring the report forward in February for you. I don't know if Marcus wants to add anything.
All right then, Steve.
Yeah, that's fine. That's okay.
Good job, it's Christmas and I'm in a good mood, isn't it? Right, we go to item 7 then, which is...
Do you want to take a vote, Chair? Sorry.
Oh, you haven't had a vote or not yet, sorry. Go on, yes.
That's carried, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we go to item 7, active travel network map, which is pages 21 to 40.
Chair, do you want to just make a note that on item 6, the cabinet reports, none have been called forward.
Oh, I thought we sorted it out.
That was a call-in, Chair, but no, nothing on item 6, none of the cabinet reports.
No, I said that already. There's no
Oh,
call
sorry,
in.
I missed it.
Yep. Right then. Mark, do you want to come in first and Jamie Pritchard?
I think the cabinet member, Councillor Pritchard, is going to introduce the report, Chair.
All right. Well, I only granted that this afternoon, so I hope we got it already.
Okay, Chair.
Yes, Jamie, all the best, buddy.
Well, as everybody's in a nice Christmas spirit, can I wish all the committee and officers a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year if I don't see you all. Thanks, Chair. The Active Travel Wales Act 2013 requires all local authorities in Wales to continuously improve their active travel routes and plan how routes will join up to form networks so people can more easily get around by bicycle or as a pedestrian for their everyday journeys to work, school and other local destinations. Active travel is important in promoting healthier lifestyles and reducing the negative impacts of traffic upon our neighbourhoods and communities. Members will see by clicking the link contained in 5.9 that there's a disparity in the number of responses to the consultation by area. A key reason for this is owing to the fact that the Act only applies to specific designated areas in Wales, which have been determined by Welsh Government and are based on the population size of settlements. Those communities and areas included within the Act are listed in 5.4. The initial phase have seen a significant response rate, with the two further phases receiving a reduced but still encouraging response rate. Members may raise a question on why the response rate dipped through the stages, but the final consultation took on board all the comments in the first and second consultation. So therefore, I think it's fair to say that the consultees are happy with the final routes, and that's the reason why there are fewer comments. An in-depth stakeholder mapping process formed the starting point of the consultation to make sure all audiences suggested within the active travel delivery guidance were included. So, for example, children and young people. And can I thank the 9 schools who contributed and the 113 pupils who did as well. Seldom heard groups with protected characteristics, people who feel unable to travel actively, as well as key stakeholders, delivery partners, wider public and persons that have been requested to be consulted. If members refer to the section 10 of the Scrutiny report, it explains the mapping process in more detail. To accompany the launch of the consultation, an email reached out to over 110 local groups, community hubs, charities, sports clubs, businesses, adjoining local authorities, community partnerships, elected members, community and town councillors. There was also an engagement on social media, a members' webinar, digital flyers and posters to encourage a good response rate. As things stand, 216 kilometres of new routes have been based upon the desktop study. Upon further investigation, not all routes might be compliant with the Active Travel Design Guide. Potential routes will need to be further analysed and developed before funding bids are submitted to Welsh Government for delivery. As the new Cabinet member, I've asked for clarity on the new routes and how we can work together to expand active travel, which is clearly very important. When funding from Welsh Government becomes available, engagement with ward members will take place. And can I say, Chair, I'd be happy to work with any local members as the relevant Cabinet member with any schemes of consideration in the future. Thanks a lot, Chair.
Thank you, Jamie. Much obliged. Mark?
Bring Clive Campbell in, Chair, who is the active travel expert this evening.
Right, Clive. Welcome.
Thank you, Chair. I'll keep it brief. Councillor Pritchard has covered the summarised report quite well. The only things I would add are the deadline for response to Welsh Government and submission of the Active Travel Network map, which is the 31st of December. And the intention is, provided there are no significant comments coming back from tonight's committee, and hopefully support, then that would be submitted subject to formal approval by Cabinet at their next meeting in January. The only one other comment I would make is that because of COVID, we haven't been able to undertake face-to-face consultations, which potentially has been a drawback, certainly for some groups. But the positive is that the new online tool that Welsh Government has provided for all the local authorities to use has generated far more comments and responses than the previous integrated network map that was consulted upon. And I think people have found it fairly easy to use. So despite the lack of face-to-face for understandable reasons, we have had a very good response to the 3-stage consultation that's set out in the report. Other than that, I'm happy to take questions, Chair.
Thank you, Clive. Any questions from members? Mike Adams, you put your hand up.
Thank you very much, Chair. Thanks, Clive, for mentioning that one thing that I was just going to say, how difficult it is to get in front of people and say, and what do you do? What would you say we should be doing? How can the council help to make that easier for you? Was face to face. And then before that, Councillor Pritchard, of course, took basically my statement, which is more a statement than a question, out of my hands. because the engagement activities is something that I've just been looking through again. And what do we see? An email campaign, social media, paper copies have gone around, flyers. He mentioned all of this, so he's taken any thunder that I might have had, which probably would have been pretty quiet anyway, out. So thanks very much for that, James, for taking those out. But it's been very, very all-encompassing. We've looked at all of the ways that we can get in touch with people individually and groups, and the groups probably are as much important as any individual, because they have been seeing them on a much wider basis than perhaps we have, and for much longer. And the kind of places where people will go and complain that, why can't I do this and why can't I do that? So hopefully the responses we've had from groups have been very comprehensive anyway, and adds all of this knowledge to the whole plan and the outcomes. Probably we could do with another few months before the 31st of December, and we would have normally, I suppose, by now been hoping to get a bit more face-to-face, but that's going to be on stop again. So well done to everyone who's been involved and all of the information that's come forward. I've been looking at the responses from Pontefraith, particularly disappointed that we didn't have lots and lots more, because walking between Pontefraith and Blackwood is so much an everyday occurrence for people, and we do see some cyclists as well using the footpath, so that's good. And let's move forward. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Mike. Anyone else? I don't see any other hands. Mark, do you want to come in?
No, thanks, Chair. It's, I think everything's been covered. Obviously, consultation, as Clive said, you know, we've had a decent response despite the restrictions of COVID and the inability to get face-to-face stuff underway. But yeah, quite encouraging.
Okay.
You know, obviously, we'll wait to see what funding and schemes roll out in the future.
Okay. Easy time for your officers tonight. Right. Someone
Bob
move.
Owen's hand is up, Chair.
Pardon?
Bob Owen's hand is showing.
Oh, yes. Just come up now. All right, Bob.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Yeah, the only question I got is obviously it seems like there's lots of these routes and a lot of coverage with the kilometres that the Cabinet member alluded to. I was just wondering, I haven't seen much in terms of where the routes are, exactly where they are. Is there a list of, you know, the list that we've got here with route numbers and route use and whatever? Obviously is just a list of numbers. Is there anything that breaks it down into wards and areas or whatever that we could sort of see a bit more information?
Clive?
Obviously I'm in support of this. I'm just looking to see, you know, exactly what we're planning throughout the borough, basically.
Chair, yes, we can circulate a spreadsheet that lists them by area and ward. While that will give you the number and approximate routes, the best way to see it is through the mapping system, so you can actually see where the routes run. But I would
have we got access to that? Oh, sorry, Clive. Have we got access to that mapping system?
Yes. I mean, within the report, there's a link.
Right. Okay.
That you can click on to get to it. That was used throughout the consultation. So graphically, it's there to see, but I can certainly provide a list for members as well. Just to add some context to it, the integrated network map that was adopted back in 2019 has about 112 routes identified, and that's on the current the council's current website. But this active travel network map through the online system, we've identified almost 400. So we've been a lot more ambitious in the number of routes, and we've tried to identify in the area we've tried to cover as well.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, Bob.
Yeah. Thanks for that. I clearly missed the link because I've printed the report off to read it. So obviously I can't click on the link on a piece of paper.
You've got some homework to do tonight when you go home, right?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Anyone else now? If not, someone move recommendation 3.1.
Move that,
I'll
Chair.
move, Chair.
Is that you moving it, Mike?
Yeah.
Second it then, Chair.
And you second, Adrian?
Yeah.
Right, Kath, you go for a vote. That's 100%, Kath, is it?
Yeah, we've got 7 responses. It's 8. That's unanimous, Chair.
Right. Thank you. Right, then we go to item 8, the Economy and Environment 2021-22 Budget Monitoring Report, period 5, which is pages 41 to 56. Mark?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. So this is a report which reflects the period 8 monitoring, financial monitoring for the whole directorate. A little bit complicated. Obviously, spans a number of cabinet portfolios, and also spans 2 scrutiny committees. So in the report, you see the directorate in its entirety, but the regen and planning elements were reported to the Regen and Housing Scrutiny Committee last week or the week before. So obviously this scrutiny committee then has the remit in terms of the infrastructure division, public protection, community and leisure services. Obviously the position is set out in the report. The author of the report, Dave Roberts, is here tonight, and both Dave and I can deal with any queries that members may have, Chair. But I just wanted to kind of clarify that it's, you know, some of it is reported to Regen and Housing, but the majority is this scrutiny committee. Thank you.
Yeah, if we can go through, we got 3 reports now in different departments. Can we go through the first one on 5.2? Officers want to make any comment on that first?
I don't know whether Dave wants to come in, Chair. He's the author of the report.
Dave, do you want to make any comment before the members then?
No, I got nothing further to add than what Mark has already said at the moment.
Okay then, Dave, any questions on that particular item? No. Then we go to 5.3, which is the public protection. No one here from public protection.
No, again, Chair, you know, if there are any questions, Dave and myself can deal with them.
All right, okay. No, you got any comments, Dave?
No one at the moment.
Right. Any questions from the members?
Yes,
None?
please, Jude, if I can. Yes, can I ask a quick question?
Right, Steve, sorry.
It's a general question on all the underspends. Are they going to be put back into general balances, or will they be kept in the specific areas that they were given to in the first place?
So they're not. So, for example, if there's an underspend in public protection, it is all mopped up at the end of the year in a directorate position, Councillor Kent.
Yeah.
You know, some overspends in one part of a directorate are offset by underspends in another. There's a directorate position, and then the kind of rules that this authority has worked to for quite some time now is that half of any underspends go into general balances, and the remaining half stay in a directorate reserve.
Well, because I know the previous item, I couldn't get my hand up quick enough because I got the report and flicking between screens. But you know, there'll be some big underspends due to last year with everyone obviously working at home and things not just open.
There are there's one or two sizable overspends as well. You know, if you look at waste management, you know, where there's we've got bigger tonnage being collected, you know, which is expensive. So, you know, there are one or two sizable overspends as well.
Some that money is not wired from one underspend to cover the overspend in waste management, for argument's sake.
Yeah, it goes into a directorate position. So,
sorry, yeah,
so you know, an overspend can be offset by an underspend in another part of the directorate.
Right. All right. Thank you, Mark.
All right, Steve.
Yeah, thank you.
Anyone else got any questions? If not, we go to 5.4, the Community and Leisure Services. Anyone got any questions on that?
Yes, Chair, sorry, I can't seem to get my hand raised on this machine. Yeah, I just want to pick up on something in regards to, it doesn't, I might have missed it, but there doesn't seem to be anything on here about how much it costs now to collect fly tipping. It seems to have been on the increase in the last 18 months. I'm certainly seem to have a one-to-one relationship with Gavin Thomas at the moment. I'm on the phone almost weekly, and it seems to be an ever-growing problem. Is there any way you could put into here how much we spend collecting it? Because I think personally it seems to be increasing every year.
So, I mean, it wouldn't be reflected in this report. This is a budget monitoring report which reports on budget headings.
Yeah, I appreciate that. But
it wouldn't feature in here. But you know, if members want some information in terms of what fly tipping costs us, then you know we can bring something forward on that. I mean, the one thing I would say, and you may have seen this on social media, we've had a number of fairly high profile cases recently that we report on social media. We name and shame the individuals. Fly tipping and/or household duty of care, and the fines that are imposed by the courts, you know, are woefully inadequate. You know, so I'll give an example. It costs, you know, £250, £300 for a skip these days. Sometimes you'll get a builder who'll fly tip what is in effect perhaps even a half a skip full or a skip full of waste, and that individual, if we catch them, they may get fined £300. It's worth the risk, isn't it? For that individual who's not concerned about a criminal record because they're self-employed, it's sometimes worth the risk. The courts or the magistrates impose woefully inadequate fines for fly tipping. Yes, we get costs awarded. Yes, there's a victim surcharge, but even then, you know, they're not enough of a deterrent. But all we can do is carry on, you know, trying to enforce, trying to catch people where we can. But if members want information on fly tipping cases and fly tipping costs and some trend analysis over the last few years, and I can bring that forward as a report.
Yeah, I was just wondering whether or not we had a budget for it. Whether you put money aside each year to say, okay, we're going to spend or will you just go and get it and it just comes out of general funds?
It'll be part of the cleansing budget.
Fine. Okay. All right. Do you, off the top of your head, do you know, is it increased, or is it just my perception?
No, I think, you know, fly tipping. I don't know whether fly tipping's actually increased or whether the number of reported incidents have increased because, you know, through COVID, more and more people are out walking on common land and mountains and hillsides, and we're spotting this a lot more. So I don't know whether this actually increased or whether the number of reported cases has increased, but our activity in enforcing and collecting has certainly increased.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mark.
All right, Colin.
Thanks.
Mike Adams.
Just to come back to what Mark was saying, yeah, this isn't just Caerphilly, not just Wales. It seems to be all over the UK because so many television programmes that come up with this kind of we can see the footage from all over, and yet the criminals who can tell a customer, we'll get rid of your rubbish and blah blah blah, yeah, and they feel confident too often until they may have some waste that's been fly tipped that might have a bit of information that can send the police back to that household and then see how disappointed they are in the person that they put some confidence in and have done that to them. And yeah, victim surcharges can apply. And of course, it's unfair because I expect that person that's actually paid the contractor the cost of or whatever it was to supposedly cost to get a skipper in the first place. There we go.
So the offence there, Mike, is householder duty of care. So if you employ white van man or whatever to come and take your rubbish away, you have a legal responsibility to make sure you are handing it to a registered waste carrier.
That's
and
right.
that you actually trace where it's gone.
Yeah.
Lots of people don't, so they end up with a fine as well as the perpetrator.
Yeah. Thanks, Mark.
Bob? Bob Owens?
Thank you, Chair. Sorry, I'm trying to get to my buttons.
Oh, I thought you started working, doing your homework.
Yeah, yeah, we're all victims, obviously, in terms of the environment with what goes on. Everybody's a victim because it's destroying our countryside and whatever. And then we got the individual victims being the people who are paying the money, as Mike was just alluding to, and not getting the job done and spoiling it for everyone. But when you go on to some of these areas where there's regular fly tipping, we've got these notices up saying up to a maximum of X amount of thousand and whatever. Is there any way that we can get the minimums up? So what Mark was just on about 300-400 quid, yeah, is just over the price of the skip. So he's going to take a chance. But can we get a minimum of 1,000, that sort of thing? Is that something we can take forward?
Well, it's in the hands of the magistrate, right? It's the magistrate who actually imposes the fine when it comes to magistrate's court. I'll give you an example of the gentleman who is retired now, but was doing the same job as me in Ron the Cannon Taff. Did a piece of work about 3 years ago with all the magistrates in RCT. Ran a workshop for them. Talked them through all the sort of stuff we've been discussing tonight about. The environmental cost, et cetera, the cost of cleanup, and it didn't change a thing in terms of the levels of fine being imposed. I don't know whether magistrates have to work to some sort of guideline, but the maximum fine in the Act is pretty substantial.
Yeah, exactly.
It can be up to £20,000, and then when you see fines, as you said, Bob, of £200-400 imposed. And okay, when you add on costs and victim surcharge, might take that up to £1,000. But the scale of some of this fly tipping, I mean, some of the fly tipping on places like the Bogie Road in Dowlais, which is not, thankfully, is not in this borough, it's in Merthyr, is just unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable. I don't know if any of you saw X-Ray over the last couple of weeks where they'd actually tagged some waste and caught, one of these individuals, white van man who was operating down in the Vale, taking people's waste away and fly tipping it, and again the fines are not great.
Yeah.
So it's a difficult one. It is totally in the hands of the magistrates.
The only thing I was saying is obviously they got the guideline then up to 20 grand, and they're working lower end. If we set the lower end at a minimum, hopefully we can. They're going to go above the minimum then. If it was a minimum 1,000, for example,
yeah, I mean,
then your surcharges and stuff.
We're seeing
2,000.
It being more generous with awarding of costs. We are seeing that with costs and victim surcharges, but the actual fine is not reflected the same way. Obviously, the ability to put a minimum level of fine has to be an Act of Parliament. So.
Okay.
Just lobbying.
Now we've sorted it all out, and it's been a good discussion. Anyone else on the reports want to make any comments? You all agree we note the report then? All right, there's no vote on this. No one objects to it. Right. I'd like to wish you all a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and a healthy New Year, more important. And thank you for your support during the year. I appreciate that.
So second attitude.
Yeah, I will see you all next year.
Merry Christmas, members. Stay safe.
Yes, that's
Yes.
the thing.
Looking forward to seeing you now in February. Okay.
Yep.
Thanks very much, Chair.
Cheers,
see you all then.
Thank you.
Merry
Merry
Christmas.
Christmas
All the best
all.
then.